Welcome this day to In Search for Wellness. Today we are going to make fermented porridge. We are going to cook fermented porridge. Porridge, fermented and unfermented, has been a traditional food for the Africans for thousands of years. Millet and sorghums, all sorts of millets are combined together with maize flour to make porridge. And fermented porridge has been a big culture, and big nutritional practice among the Africans. Today we are going to cook fermented porridge. I have here in this jug fermented porridge that I had preserved in the fridge for several days. I had fermented it earlier, and I invite you to accompany me as I prepare this fermented porridge. I've got my boiling water already, my boiling water in this aluminum sufuria. When I'm making ugari, I'm making porridge, I like using an aluminum sufuria because of the scale that forms on the bottom of the sufuria. It will not burn. If I use a stainless steel pot or enamel pot, it means that my porridge is going to burn very quickly because of excessive heat. But aluminum sufuria distributes heat very, very gently. And so today you are going to use an aluminum sufuria. I have here about 3 liters of water. But I'm going to scoop a bit, shorter a bit of it into a jug. And then I will add again to my porridge to regulate the consistency. I've transferred my fermented porridge into a plastic jar because it can handle hot water easier than a glass jar. So I'm going to transfer all this fermented porridge. This is uncooked fermented porridge. I have fermented it with millet, with smoothly ground millet and maize extract using young maize. I have used young maize. I whipped it with a blender and sieved it out and mixed it with millet. I'm going to demonstrate the process of fermenting porridge using young maize. So I'm going to transfer all this. This is about 1 liter. This is about 1 liter. It is not very thick. How much of your portion of fermented porridge that you use depends on how much, on the thickness of your fermented porridge. This one is not very thick. And so we are going to pour it in this hot water. And it is very, very cold because it has been directed from the fridge. And I'll just stir it slowly until it picks up the heat. And as it picks up the heat, it thickens. It becomes more viscous. Like I remember what you have said many times in my videos about complex starches in our grains. The complex starches in our wholesome food products, when they are heated, they will always form colloids. So a gruel, as they call it, porridge is at times called gruel. Porridge is actually a colloid. The thickness is formed because of the complex starches which form the colloids when they are boiled in water. So this may take a while. When it starts boiling, it will be stable. Otherwise, if I leave it the way it is now, the suspended particles will just settle to the bottom, and they'll form some balls. And they'll not give us a good consistency. can see already for just a second that I have left it starting. I have left it starting for a second, and already it has started forming those balls. But as I continue stirring strongly, as I continue stirring again, all those balls are going to break down. So when we put our flours in the sufuria, it is important to ensure, you see, this is such a bowl. This is such a bowl of porridge. You see, like that. So it is not good to leave it unstirred. You cannot lift your hand from the porridge until imeshika moto, until it catches the heat properly, and it starts boiling. It starts boiling. When it starts boiling, you know now you are safe. You can leave it. You can leave it to. You see, those are some of the balls that had formed. Just for a second, leaving it for a second, because the sufuria was already very hot. So you stir it. I continue stirring it until it stabilizes, until all of it catches heat. Because I added a whole 1 liter jug of fermented porridge, what will happen is that it may become very thick, and so I have to regulate the thickness with some water. A fermented porridge is very nice, very sweet with sugar. There are people who add some spices and herbs. This one is just plain. This is just plain, and I find it nice when it is not too thick. When it is not too thick, I can drink it from a cup and not eating it from a bowl with a spoon. That's when I enjoy my fermented porridge best. You see, already it is catching the heat. It's catching the heat. It's starting to settle. It's starting to settle and to become a bit colloid. As it continues picking the heat, it's going to become really thick. It's boiling, and how it boils and its texture is what you tell us how much water we are going to add. I told you that this porridge is a mixture of millet, mtama. It's a mixture of mtama, millet, and the starches of young maize. I don't like using flour. Flour for ugali. Flour for ugali is not very good for cooking porridge, because flour for porridge needs to be a bit smooth. The flour for cooking ugali is a bit grainy. It's a bit grainy, and when you cook porridge with it, you feel at times like you are also eating the grains of the flour. They cannot break down completely. But flour for cooking porridge needs to be a 2 grades smoother than the flour for ugali. And if I want to get flour for ugali, I would have to take my dried maize to the mill and maybe have it ground, maybe milled about 3 times, so that it can be really smooth. And so this porridge is really smooth because I obtained my corn starches by blending my soft maize, young maize, with a blender, and then filtering out. Unfortunately, when I work it that way, I lose all my fiber. I lose all my fiber from the corn, because the blender cannot crush the corn. The blender cannot crush the tester of maize. The tester of maize is very tough, and it also becomes very good fiber. You can see my porridge is also now becoming thick. It started thickening. And when it starts boiling, I will know how much water to add to it. Fermentation process is a kind of a cooking process, and you find that fermented porridge takes a very short time. When it starts boiling, one can allow it to boil for only about 20 minutes. About within 20 minutes, it is ready to be taken. But you realize when you are cooking porridge with unfermented flour, it can take you a little bit longer for the flours to catch heat and really become colloids. They require a lot of heat at almost 45 minutes, almost 1 hour, to be able to make a good porridge. You can see our porridge is thick. I'm going to add water, my hot water that I had scooped there, because I don't want thick porridge. I want porridge that is right, that is light, porridge that is right to drink from a cup, to drink and enjoy from a cup. Because at times you may not know how thick your porridge is, because when it is boiling it might look light, but when it is cools down it becomes very heavy and very thick. But there is a consistency when you have learned how to make your porridge, that you identify the kind of consistency you want your porridge. When you're cooking porridge, you cannot cover your pot. You cannot cover your pot because the grain flours, they foam a lot and they just pour out. And so you cook your porridge when it is still open. It seems to have a good consistency, but after it boils properly, catches heat completely and starts boiling thoroughly, you'll be able to tell, because as it continues heating, so the colloids become thicker and thicker, continues to develop its colloids with increased heat. That's why at times porridge and ugali require a lot of heat to cook, so that you can maximize your colloid capacity of your maize flour or your grain flours. You can see my porridge has started boiling. You can see it is boiling like a volcanic activity, that the threatening to spill over the mountain. You see how it is boiling nicely and beautifully, like a volcano, because it is so thick. You know, as we have continues to heat our porridge, increased heat causes the colloids to continue developing. You can see it is already boiling, but it is boiling in a very heavy way, because it is very heavy. It is very heavy. This is only a porridge that is fit to be eaten from a bowl, but I want my porridge to drink from a cup, so I'll still add some more water. So I started with 3 liters of water and added a liter of fermented porridge. So that is about 4 liters of porridge. It is still thick, which means I'm still going to add more. More water. You see, from a little porridge, you can make a drink, a small volume of porridge, fermented, especially fermented. You can make a quick drink for the family, a quick and very healthy drink from the family. Young corn, young maize is very nutritious, and also these millet grains, millet and sorghum, they are very nutritious grains. Very nutritious grain. They formed the key regimen of nutrition for our forefathers, and we found our grandparents making and even fermenting the porridge. And even my mom brought us every morning with a breakfast porridge breakfast every morning with lots of milk. So a porridge drink is a better drink than a drink of a lot of tea, because tea, although we know has got good flavonoids, it also has a lot of caffeine and interferes with the uptake of minerals in the body. So porridge, especially fermented porridge makes the cooking of porridge very easy, because you use less time. And again, you don't have to make it so thick. Depending on how you want it, you can make it heavy or for it to be eaten from a bowl, or you can just make it light. You can make it light to be taken from a cup. So we are going to give it only about, from now we are going to give it about 20 minutes to boil, and after that it will be ready. You can see that our porridge is boiling well. It is really boiling well with enough heat. You can see it is now boiling gently. After adding and regulating the consistency, the thickness, you can see now it is boiling gently, as not like a volcano. Now it's just like the waves of a cool ocean. It's just like the waves of a cool ocean. And because now it has got a very good consistency. This consistency is good because even when the porridge cools, there are people who like taking their porridge cold. When it cools, it will still be easy to drink from a cup without necessarily having to use a spoon. So we will give it a little bit more time, 15 minutes, so that it can be 20 minutes from the time it is started boiling. You can see how beautiful our porridge is. I had put almost half a kilo of mtama, of smoothly ground mtama millet. I had used starch from two cobs of corn, and I have used it to mix with about half a kilo of mtama. That's why you can see it has our nice, beautiful and brownish color. I've given it a good enough heat so that within the next 15 minutes I will just remove the porridge from the fire. I'll remove it from the fire. You can see how beautiful it is. You can see how nicely it is boiling together smoothly and quietly. But this kind of porridge should not be covered. If you cover it, all this foam it will just flow out. It will just flow out. You can see that our porridge is still boiling aggressively. As we give it the next 10 minutes, stretch of next 10 minutes for it to continue boiling and cooking completely. Fermentation is a very well-established process in foods. All over the world, people have got their own traditional ways of fermenting foods. You see, there's a lot of fermentation of vegetables with cherries in China. Within the white community, there's a lot of fermentation of vegetables like carrots and cabbages. And also, we know that the Germans ferment their white cabbage and red cabbage to get what is called sauerkraut. So fermentation is a very good process, especially if one after fermentation can consume that food without cooking, so that you can also consume the good bacteria. There is a process which I will have to master, because I also saw that my grandmother used to ferment this porridge, and she would cook it first and then ferment it. And so even a long time ago, when I was I think I was in class 6, my grandmother used to ferment this porridge, and she would always give it to us. And so you can see there was a lot of good health practices within our communities, even before we started embracing the foods of Western European diets. And because also at home we had a lot of cows, my father used to ferment milk so that you get the yogurt or fermented milk from the carriages, which is called mursik. In fact, he was using a long gourd to ferment the milk. So you see already our relatives, our forefathers, they had the good nutritional practices. And these are practices that we need to embrace back, especially the consumption of these wonderful grains, sorghum, millets, all types of millets and sorghum. It is very important for us to embrace these foods, to come back and embrace our foods. The fermentation process is a very good process because there is a way it changes some biounavailable molecules. Some molecules in the food which may not be available to the cells are converted and made available through the process of fermentation. And also there are chemicals which are called phytates, which in the grains, which are also converted to other available and better molecules during the process of fermentation. So you see now our porridge is ready. Our porridge is ready. It only needs to cook for a very short time because the fermentation process is also a cooking process. The cooking process of my grains, my flour from the grains started during the fermentation process. So I'm just on the way to transfer it out of this cooking sufuria. From here I'll transfer it immediately into this brown enameled pot because I don't want to leave it in the cooking pot. It is not good when you cook your porridge. Always ensure if it is not going to be consumed immediately, if it is not going to be served from the pot immediately, if it is going to be taken later, it is good to pour it out from that sufuria because that scaling, that sedimentation and the scaling that gets hold onto the bottom of the sufuria, you'll start coming out, and it will mess up with the consistency of your porridge. So this porridge is now ready. At this time, already we have heated it for about 20 minutes. This porridge is now ready. I'll just transfer it there, and I will taste its flavors when it is ready. When it is cooking, it has got such nice flavors. Such nice flavor comes out when this porridge is cooking. Thank you very much for taking the interest. From here, I am going to grind some maize corn, young maize, with a blender so that we can prepare some more fermented porridge. My porridge is now ready. I have transferred it into that enamel sufuria because the people to drink it are not nearby, and so that it can cool a bit and they can drink it at their own time. I've tasted this porridge. I have my tasting porridge here. I put some sugar to it, and it is very tasty, very smooth, good consistency, and very tasty. It's so nice. I encourage you to try it. We are going to go through a process of fermentation, of preparing the maize for fermentation, and corn and millet flour for fermentation. We are going to put it in for fermentation for 2 days so that from there you'll be able to know how to do your porridge and cook your own porridge. Thank you so much, and I hope that you enjoy your porridge when you have learned how to cook it.